Alright guys, it's going down. Now's come the time to make a little video on a field that I know a little something about because of the industry I am in. Health and fitness, and basically how to make the best version of you in a fitness level. A lot of parameters basically to this, so this might be a long one, but we'll see. First and foremost, there's that saying, we are what we eat. A lot of us out there, we don't eat real food. A lot of stuff that we eat is processed. Basically means it's fake food. Our body doesn't know how to basically decompose it, and it's the reason why a lot of us are overweight, suffer from diabetes, problems with cancer, everything of that nature. The funny thing is that we used to be able to eat real food. And then the country hit this thing called the Great Depression. What happened was, for the first time in a long time, our country was basically broke. People couldn't afford to eat. What bailed us out was World War II. That created factory jobs and created everything else. But once those jobs were created and we got out of the Depression per se, what happened is that we got to the point where food was basically processed. The reason they processed the food is because they wanted to make sure that nobody ever starved again. And that food was in surplus. Okay? So before you'd go to a diner and you would have real food. You would have real cheese. You would have real milk. You would have everything real, right out of a farmer type of deal. And then what happened with the processed food, they were able to make a lot of food at a very cheap, affordable rate. Because they want to make sure that nobody ever starved again, like they did in the Great Depression. So the processed food epidemic happened around the 40s to 50s. And lo and behold, what happened? Diabetes started to increase. Cancer started to increase. Obesity started to increase at a very large scale. When we go to the shop at the grocery store, here's a little tidbit for you. If you stay out of the aisles, you're good. When we start buying stuff out of the aisles, you got problems. Shop the perimeter. The perimeter, you got your grains, you got your dairy, you got your meats, you got your vegetables. Now the biggest thing is the vegetables, and we don't eat enough of them. We are water-based organisms, meaning a good amount of our body is water. If we didn't have water, we would be done. Water is what really gives us life. So why would we eat dead organisms? Hence processed food, and hence eating a lot of meat. It's not live. What's live is vegetables, fruits, and water. When you have a plant-based diet, your energy and everything else will go through the roof. Problem is, a lot of times, we go back to that pain-pleasure principle. A lot of times, what happens is, we basically what we do is, we do what isn't good for us. And that's basically not eating the diet that we need to eat. So, what you need to do is make your diet plant-based. And yes, that is my little friend Zoe saying hi and everything else. When you go out there and you actually plan your meals, think of it this way. Out of the animal kingdom, which ones are the animals that don't live that long? Carnivores. We say the lion's the king of the jungle. Not really, because Yeah, so yeah, it does actually kill things if it needs to, but when it comes down to lifespan, carnivore's lifespan is horrible. It's all meat-based. They have the shortest lifespan, they have the highest disease rate, and on top of that, they've got all kinds of complications. You take an orangutan, it's 1/3 our size, and DNA-wise, it's probably the closest thing to us. And it can rip our arms out of our sockets. Why? Orangutans, for the most part, are vegetarians. They don't really eat meat. So why would they be able to be as strong as they are? That's because we lived off this myth that we need protein. We need protein with every meal. And not greens. It's the biggest load of crap out there. Yes, protein does help you build muscle. And yes, protein is essential in certain circumstances. But more essential than anything else is water-based foods. If you don't believe me, like I said, how do you explain orangutans? How do you explain gorillas? Do they eat meat in surplus? No. And they're super crazy strong. Processed food and eating dead food per se, which is meat, is the main cause of why we have so many complications. Not to mention our aerobic activity is very limited now. You go to the gym, what's everyone love to do? Pump the weights. What's everyone hate to do? Cardio. One of the best things to do is create a lot of aerobic activity. You ever wondered, a lot of people get disease, what's their aerobic activity like? Ain't that great? When you get aerobic activity and you are constantly pushing yourself in your cardio to the next level, you reoxygenate the body. All those dead cells going through your body, they get recreated with new cells, and they're oxygenated. We have something that's called a lymph system. And we have a whole lot of lymph through our body. When we run the oxygen through our body and it goes through the lymph system, it creates new cells and everything else, and it allows us to be better than we can be. Sorry, I had to compensate that for my dog. The lymph system is very big, and it allows everything to be oxygenated and regenerated for the most part. That's why what's very essential is deep breathing. Hence, meditation. When you meditate and you work on deep breathing, A, it centers you, reduces your stress, and then more than anything on top of that, what it allows you to do is it allows you to oxygenate the body. The breathing count that you want to do is you want to be able to breathe in for 7 seconds. Hold for 28 seconds. Breathe out for 14 seconds. So you breathe in on a 1 count, hold for a 4 count, exhale on a 2 count. That one thing right there, that one thing is leaps and bounds what it can do for you. Water, you never drink enough of it. The more water you drink, the better. And on top of that, the food that you eat as much water-based food as possible. That's energy. That's pure energy. Your body knows how to break that down. Our bodies, yes, evolve and everything else, but we haven't evolved to the point where we're able to break down all this crap for the most part that we put on our body that's got all kinds of different chemicals in it. A workout regimen and everything else, yes, that is important, but more than anything is the fuel that we put in our bodies. Because you can have the craziest workout system in the world, workout regimen, but if you're putting bad fuel in your body, hence processed food that the body doesn't know how to break down, then at that point, you're going to have all kinds of complications and all kinds of problems. So really, a model that I kind of live by, since I do like crappy food and I do like to have epic cheat days like Dwayne Johnson on Sundays. Many of you know him as The Rock. I live by a simple code, simple diet that, you know, Tim Ferriss basically made popular from the 4-hour body diet. And simply this. There's 4 rules that you follow. And they're very easy to remember. Rule number 1, don't drink your calories. That means no sodas. That means no juice. Basically nothing of that nature. Really only water, coffee, stuff like that. Rule number 2. No sugars. Rule sugar out of your diet. There's been a lot of studies that saying sugar is basically the #1 killer to a lot of people. So no candy, no artificial sweeteners, none of that. Basically just no sugar. And this is the hard one, the next one. Rule number 3. No carbohydrates. Or basically no wheat, flour, basically processed carbohydrates. Basically ruling out bread, ruling out pasta, ruling out a lot of things that you guys like. In order to get the energy level that you need, the way to process through that is basically beans or legumes. Beans are good because it's a protein, it's a fiber, and it's a carbohydrate. It'll give you energy. I ruled out the processed carbs a while ago, and I basically live off of beans. And what I can tell you is this: my energy has gone through the roof. You ever get that where you basically go out in the, you go out to your job, you got your lunch, and you go to lunch and you eat this real crazy heavy lunch, a lot of processed carbohydrates, and you get basically back to the office and you feel real drowsy. I call it the itis, where all the blood from your head goes to your stomach to help it digest. And well, actually I got it from the Chappelle Show, but it's the itis. And you get really laxated when you get tired. That's because your body doesn't know how to break down all that crap. That's the biggest thing. You start eating like this, everything will be at another level. Rule number 4, no dairy. No more milk. No more cheese. No dairy at all. This is the biggest misconception about dairy. People always say, drink milk, does the body good. It's very wrong. Milk is extremely acidic. Our bodies are basically boiled down to a pH system. We have extremely acidic foods. So if we have a pH scale, you got 0, you got -7, you got +7. You want to eat as much bases as possible, which are basically leafy greens, water-based foods. You want to stay away from the acidic foods. Now, I like coffee, but coffee is extremely acidic. Milk is extremely acidic as well, too. What milk actually does is milk breaks down bones, doesn't build it up. Yeah, you got calcium and everything else, but with the acidity that milk is, it doesn't do the body good. It creates more problems. Also, what you have to remember is this: we are the only species out there that drinks milk past the stage of where we're born, and then on top of that, we're the only ones that drink milk of another animal. And if you want to get more disgusted by it, milk is basically processed per se from cows, and they have basically the udders, and they have contraptions that they hook it up to. And those udders get infected. Pus then gets into the milk, but they heat the milk up so super high to dilute the basically, infectious pus and stuff, blood and stuff like that might get in the milk, that you're okay. But for the most part, when you think about that, blood and pus being in your milk, and they heat it up so much to kill the bacteria, yeah, I don't think you really want to drink it that much. And last but not least, the best rule of them all, the final rule, and the extra credit rule, because I said there's 4 rules, but there's actually now 5. On the 7th day, you can have a cheat day. On that day, you eat whatever the hell you want. You want to go eat 20 bagels, you eat 20 bagels. Donuts, freaking... I've had epic cheat days where I've just ate like an idiot for the whole day. And the reason you want to do that is this, is that ruling out all the dairy, the carbohydrates,